If you aren't doing what you know you're supposed to be doing, or if you aren't following your dreams and pursuing your passions, you are not fulfilling your personal legend. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video on my channel. And this time, we are going to be inking and watercoloring this, I'll say, cutout of a picture I saw of Daisy Ridley, of Star Wars fame, because she played Rey and everything, from the cover of GQ magazine. I like the look that she had in the picture, and I liked her eyes in particular, and that's actually what I wanted to explore coloring anyway, so that kind of just fell into my lap. So that's what we're going to do here. And I also want to have a slight conversation on some of the lessons I learned while reading The Alchemist. I kind of hinted at the end of last week's video that I was going to do this anyway, and you can see the result of last week's video right up there above this piece, because I wanted to do both of these on one piece of paper, and you'll see the end result of both of these at the end of the whole video. So getting into it, The Alchemist is a book by Pablo Coelho, Coelho, so I want to say Coelho, but I never actually pronounced his name up until now. And it was published in 1988, and the book itself actually tells the story along with a lot of metaphors for life, which overall are very, very helpful. It actually tells the story of a young shepherd boy by the name of Santiago, and it tells of him as well as the journey that he goes on and the quest in that journey for treasure. But inside of all of that, it is also a journey to fully realize and actualize his personal legend. Hence why I put that little quote at the beginning of the video. And as usual, because it's a journey with a protagonist in a book, regardless of any philosophical metaphors or anything of that nature, that journey always has some complications. And some of the best complications that actually have happened throughout the book are Santiago's willingness to give up on some of his pursuits just because of how some of the obstacles get in his way. It's not the obstacles themselves, but it's how they are placed in his way that prevent him from journeying forward. And that entire little spiel actually plays into the theme that The Alchemist basically reverberates throughout the entire book, which is following your hearts, following your dreams, and doing what your heart desires. And that goes down to what I also learned in the book Think and Grow Rich that I read last month, where one of the main one of the main tenets of the book, that's what I'll say tenets of the book, is actually desire, and how you should listen to what your desires tell you, and then see whether or not they actually are good desires that will help you realize your dreams, or if they're selfish desires that will only lead to your self-destruction to an extent. It's okay to be selfish sometimes, but I digress. One of the main pieces of imagery throughout the book, or at least I'll say, I forgot the term for it, but basically there are a lot of omens in the book, which are usually signs of good things to happen or things to be in the future. And they're more or less, along with the heart as well as the dreams, they are seen as signs of God from the perspective of the fortune teller at the beginning of the book, as well as the merchant king in the I think about 30 minutes into the book that Santiago also meets. And everybody in the book that you will come across, they actually believe in these omens, and they understand that these omens are actual gifts that can be used to their liking if they actually realize that they are omens. That was kind of a mouthful, but anyway. Getting back into the theme of desire, there's a lot of talk throughout the book of the soul being the guiding force of our lives, as well as the lives of the characters in the book, especially Santiago. And you'll see that, you'll actually notice that once you get about halfway through the audiobook, it'll be about an hour and 30 minutes in. So I actually read the audiobook and read a little bit of the PDF as well. So I got a little bit of both to make sure I understood what exactly the context was. So that was fun. And one of the main things that they ended up discussing was how you need to be aware of your soul's desire. And awareness of it means that you can understand how it could be fully realized into the world. And once you understand how you can bring your desire or that want into the world, the universe will conspire to help you. And that's something that you're gonna hear about a couple of times in the book itself. And once I heard it the second time, it made sense, and I began to see it a couple of more times without it being said inside of the book. And that was extremely fun. But one thing that awareness does require is that you have to be mindful, because if you're not mindful, the body will disconnect itself, and that can be very dangerous, because if you're actually disconnected, you won't be able to fully realize anything, because you can't act on your heart's desires because you're not listening to either your heart or your soul. And when it comes to me, because I'm going through a little bit of art block right now, that's kind of very much the case. I'm trying to listen, but listening is very hard. And that's more or less where I want to leave it off in regards to the lessons of the Alchemist, or at least just the first lesson right now. I'm going to actually write down the rest of them and properly formulate them the way I did. Well, a bit better than what I did here. I liked the freeform discussion that I usually have, but sometimes I do want to have it a bit more structured. So I'll actually leave the book discussion alone for now and talk a bit about the artwork itself. So right now, basically, I am adding shadows and some lights as well as some darks. And if you saw the picture earlier of Daisy Ridley, obviously you saw that she was a brunette. She had dark hair. I accidentally, not really, because I wanted to do this myself, I changed the hair color to blonde, and it was technically, I think you would call it a dirty blonde, but this one was a bit less dirty than I thought it was originally, especially now that I'm looking back at it. So that's what I wanted to use. I wanted to experiment with yellows and blues to complement each other and things like that. Just to get my color theory ideas out of the way, because that's, again, the main reason why I'm doing this entire series. I wanted to get better at color, and you can't get better at color without learning color theory. So that's what I ended up doing here, and I'm just filling in the eyebrows. And the eyebrows are what I liked a bit more about it, but I feel like I made the eyebrows, I feel like I put too much ink into the eyebrows, and they ended up being too dark. But that's for you all to decide. If you liked it, I hope you did, because that was a bit of an accident. And now I'm just trying to fill in some of these skin gaps, because watercolor doesn't spread effectively enough unless you go over it a couple of times, or at least that's how it does for me. And I think once I start to master it a little bit more and get those 10,000 hours in, because I think that's what you need, I'll actually be much more of a pro at this. So yeah, I think that's how it's gonna work. And yeah, that's kind of it, honestly. So onto the eyes. I'm tired of these flies. That was not an intentional rhyme. Anyway, I'm not a rapper though. Oh, okay. So the eyes, I wanted to make blue just to complement the actual outside that I ended up using. And once I did that, I appreciated it a little bit more, but I felt that something was missing in regards to filling in the eyes. So I looked at the eye reference that I can't find actually now, but I looked at what I used, and I ended up adding some white a little later, as well as on the skin. There it is. I'm doing it now. So yeah, that kind of helped brighten up a couple of the pieces, and because of my fine brush, that proved invaluable. So I'm glad I ended up doing that. I felt that it was a bit more last minute than anything, but it actually wasn't. So again, congratulations to past me for getting it right. And now I'm just adding in some of the details to keep the line separated and filling in more of the gaps, but that's mostly it. Onto the little blue wash of a background that I wanted to use. I wasn't too sure if I wanted to use cerulean blue or ultramarine blue, since I've been using a lot more ultramarine in this watercolor course by Aaron Blaze that I've been taking over the past 2 weeks. Has it been 2 weeks? Oh wow, it's actually been 2 weeks. Well, yeah, so the darker blue that you see here at the bottom left, right actually, is going to be ultramarine, and I actually use that as a bit of shadow for every for the nose as well. And did I actually use that for eyeshadow? Interesting. But nonetheless, there you go. There's the full piece in all of its little glory. And if you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Give it a hit the subscribe button as well at the bottom. Share this video with anybody who you may be interested in talking with. And yeah, just tell me what you think about the video in the comments below, and tell me if you read The Alchemist and what you think of it, because I'm actually going to continue this conversation in another video, just because I didn't want to keep it for too long. I'm trying to make shorter videos just so I can get a couple more of them made. So yeah, in the end, I will check you all later, and until next time.